An interesting problem which is called the merge intervals. So basically you're given a set of non-overlapping intervals and you're supposed to insert a new interval into the intervals and merge if necessary. So here is an example with a set of input intervals and a interval that you're supposed to insert and merge. So there is interval starts from 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 7, 8 to 10, and 12 to 16, and you're supposed to insert and merge 4 and 9. So just like any other coding problems, let's try to first break down the problem and come up with an algorithm that would solve it in an efficient way and then start coding it. So let's say I look at 1, 2, and my to merge interval right now is 4, 9. So if there is an overlap, so I check the overlap between 1, 2 and 4, 9. And if there is an overlap, then I would probably need to merge it. But since there is no overlap, I would just append to the output the current interval that I'm looking at. So your output then would become 1, 2. Now I look at the next element, that is 3, 5. So my to merge interval is 4, 9. I check an overlap between 1, 3, 5 and 4, 9, and I see that there is an overlap. So I check overlap between 3 and 5, and I see that check overlap returns true between these two. So I merge both of the intervals, and my new interval would become 3, 9. So this would be now my to merged interval. And I would keep the output as same. Output would still be remaining 1, 2. Now I look at the next interval, which is 6, 7. I check an overlap with the to merge interval. So my to merge interval now became 3, 9. So I check an overlap between 3, 9 and 6, 7. There is an overlap, and your to merge interval would remain as 3, 9. Again, in this case, if there was an overlap, you would not do anything. You would keep the output as it is. Now we would see 8, 10, and so on and so forth. And here your to merge interval would become 3, 10. Alright, and then the output remained the same, 1, 2. Now when I look at 12, 16, the check overlap would return false. So now in the output, I'm supposed to append the merged interval, so what I found. So the merged interval would be 3, 10. Now for the remaining case, I append the remaining to the output. So here the output would then become 1, 2, 3, 10, and 12, 16. So let's try to code this really quick. So merge intervals, let's go and merge intervals, and stored interval, and to merge interval, and then so basically we need an output. We need a helper function check overlap, but we can really do it in place. So let's do for I in for interval in stored and intervals. If check overlap between interval and to merge interval is true, then we do something, else we do something. So if there is no overlap, which might be the case in the beginning, then you need to append it to the output. But what do you need to append? Do you need to append the current interval, or do you append the toMerge interval? So let's say that we haven't seen an overlap yet, and in that case, since we are given only one such element that we need to insert and merge, so unless we see an overlap, then we should be appending the interval. So basically, we can keep a variable like found equals false if we found equals true, and if found equal false, then we would basically in the output we would append the interval, else we would append the toMerge interval. And we can make it better later, but let's quickly code it. So your toMerge interval would now become min of interval 0 and toMerge interval 0 and max of interval 1 and toMerge interval 1. So now if there was no overlap and your found was true, then you merge the interval. So you have merged it, so you have basically, and here you can say found equal to false again, and this would do it. So now if you return output, that would basically be the way to go. So this check overlap is basically a very simple thing that you can do. Basically, you take the max of the start times and the min of the end times, and you subtract it, and then you see if that duration is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, then there is an overlap. So I would not be coding it right now, but I think let's do a dry run. So first we see 1, 2. And there is no overlap with 4, 9. So, and you're found equal to false, so you append 1, 2 to the interval. Then you see 3, 5, and 3, 5 is overlapping with the toMerge interval. So you change the toMerge interval to be 3, 9. And then you go on to 6, 7, and 6, 7, 3, 9 is again overlapping. So if it is overlapping, then you change the toMerge interval to 3, 9 again. It would be 3, 9. And then you should look at 8, 10, and it would change the toMerge interval to 3, 10. And then you look 12, 16, and found is true, so you append the toMerge interval, which is 3, 10, and then set found equal to false. Now you look at and you would also need to append the interval. And then found equal to false, and then if you looked at the next elements, basically in the list, your found would be false. You would keep pending interval. So yeah, this would work. The only thing that we could probably do better is, for example, get rid of this found and make it a little bit prettier. But I'll leave it up to you to really clean up the code. But this is a working code, and it gets done in an efficient way. So if you like the video, please hit a like and subscribe. and see you in the next coding challenge.